Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Wednesday, April 11th. We got 6 games tonight on the main slate. A lot of early games today, but like always, guys, I'm just going to cover the main slate, the night games. Before we do get started covering these 6 games, looking at pitchers and batters we want to talk about, make sure you guys drop a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. And if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, guys, looking at pitcher today, definitely an interesting position. We don't have a ton of studs on this 6-game slate. David Price and John Lester are 2 pitchers priced over $10K, and then after Lester, it drops down to Tanaka, Marco Estrada, Nick Pivetta, and so forth. Just looking at the stud pitchers, I don't feel like David Price or John Lester are guys that I really have to have today. Price would definitely be my favorite option to pay up for, but he's $11,900. Going up against the Yankees, I feel like I can kind of shy away from David Price here. I just don't feel like he's going to burn me on this slate if I do fade him. I think I can get similar production from some of the cheaper options at pitcher. I feel like David Price probably gets like 25 DK points, maybe 25 to 30, 30 being like his ceiling. I don't see him really just crushing today, and I feel like I can get similar production from guys like Nick Pivetta, who we'll talk about, even Tanaka I really like here. Especially in tournaments. I don't feel like a lot of people are going to play Tanaka against Boston, but Tanaka's a really good strikeout pitcher, has swing and miss stuff. Definitely could go to Tanaka if you were to look a little bit cheaper. And John Lester at $10,700, I never really pay up for John Lester. I don't feel like he's that great of a pitcher, has that much upside, and especially when he's this price, I just rather pay up for David Price. But neither 10K and above pitchers are pitchers I'm really looking to jam in today. So looking for the 2 pitchers that I'm looking to target today, Nick Pivetta is definitely one of them. $8,200 against Cincinnati. I like Nick Pivetta here. I like this matchup with the Reds. The Reds, they're just not a good baseball team. Up and down this lineup, you definitely have strikeouts, especially sort of as you get towards the bottom. Obviously, guys like Joey Votto are really good hitters. Scooter Gennett, a pretty decent hitter as well. But versus righties, guys like Jose Peraza, Duvall, even Barnhart, this Alex Blandino guy, definitely some strikeouts here. Obviously, the pitcher as well. Pivetta will get to face the opposing pitcher. We've seen Pivetta have good strikeout stuff. He's definitely a boom-bust play. I don't know if you really want to play Nick Pivetta in cash games today, but for tournaments, Pivetta could totally go out, pitch 5 to 6 innings, get 8, 9, 10 strikeouts. We saw him do it against the Marlins. Went 5 2/3 innings with 9 strikeouts. Only allowed 4 hits, no walks, got the win. 32 DraftKings points. That's the kind of upside that Nick Pivetta has. So I do like him here as my SP1. I like a lot of the expensive bats on this slate, so going with Pivetta as my starting pitcher, my SP1, is going to allow me a lot of salary to pay for the bats. So I like starting with Pivetta today, and then looking for my SP2, another play that might be sort of boom-bust, but Kevin Gausman at 6K, I just really like here because I feel like Kevin Gausman is too cheap, especially for the talent level that this guy has. Now, we saw last year Kevin Gausman was sort of a guy that was up and down just throughout all of last year. Kind of started off pretty poorly, then he started to get things together. This year he started off pretty poorly, getting pretty much rocked by the Twins and Yankees through 2 outings. But I do like Gausman to bounce back here against the Blue Jays. I love that Gausman is just 6K. I think that price tag is too cheap. The Blue Jays do have a pretty low total for today, just 4.2 runs. Obviously, this team does have power with guys like Granderson, Donaldson, Smoke. But there are strikeouts, especially like as Pierce is in the lineup. He will strike out a lot versus righties. Devon Travis, Diaz, these guys will definitely K some. So I feel like this is a spot where we could really see Kevin Gausman get things going here, put up 20 to 25 DraftKings points. Would not be surprised at all. So I do like him as my SP2 for today. I would say him and Pivetta are both GPP options. I'm not sure if I'm really considering them in cash games. The cash play today is probably David Price if you can fit him in. I usually always pay up for pitcher in cash games. So in cash, you're definitely building around David Price, in my opinion. But Pivetta and Gausman for tournaments, if you want to pay up for bats today, and you want 2 cheap options that you can roll with at pitcher, I do like both of these guys. Then if we look at the other pitchers, there isn't a lot I love besides the guys I've already talked about. It's mainly David Price, Tanaka, Pivetta, and Gausman for me. I think Marco Estrada can maybe be a GPP play, but with him being so similar priced to Pivetta, I think I just prefer Pivetta. Luis Castillo, another guy that I feel like has a lot of talent, but is definitely a boom-bust play here against the Phillies. We've seen the Phillies they've been able to put up runs so far this year. They've definitely been a pretty imposing lineup. They've been able to put a beating on some pitchers this year. So this could be a spot where Castillo really struggles again, or it could be a spot where he just goes out and gets 10 Ks. Castillo was a guy that last year definitely was up and down, had big games where he put up a ton of strikeouts, also had some games where he just really got rocked, kind of similar to Gausman. So I guess you could consider Castillo in tournaments if you wanted to play him, but with him being 7,700, similarly priced to Pivetta, I would prefer Pivetta there, and I would just rather go down to Gausman, save $1,700 and play him. So that's really it for pitcher. Pitcher's gross today, in my opinion. Mainly price, obviously, if you can fit him in. I don't feel like he's a guy you have to have today, but cash, he's probably the safest play on the board. Pivetta, Gausman, Tanaka, kind of the pitchers I'm looking at, especially if I'm going to pay it for bats in tournaments and I need cheap options. But since we did play Pivetta and Gausman, that leaves us $44.75 remaining per player for our hitters. So we have a lot of salary to work with today. And I like paying up for one of the most expensive bats on the slate, actually the most expensive bat, Mike Trout, $5,700. Love him here against Matt Moore. It's a great matchup. Matt Moore really struggles to righties. Mike Trout, obviously we know the best hitter in the league, has crushes lefties, just been crushing lefties ever since he got into the league. Great ballpark here to hit in Texas. Very hitter-friendly park. It's starting to heat up in Texas. Going to be 78 degrees game time. So the ball should be flying. A lot of runs should be scored here. I like both sides of this game. I like some of these Texas bats. Love some of these Angels bats as well. And since I went cheap at pitcher, I have the salary to pay up for some of the expensive guys like Trout. And we'll talk about Upton in a second. But Trout, love him here. Think he has a lot of upside. Home run, I would definitely say Trout. If I had to pick one guy on this slate to hit a home run, I think it's going to be Trout. So I like paying up for him on this slate. Like going to his teammate as well, getting some more exposure to the Angels. I just think the Angels put up a ton of runs here. So Justin Upton, another guy that I like at 4,700. Kind of similar with Trout. Upton has been a guy that's always hit lefties well. Matt Moore, the pitcher for the Rangers today, a guy that really struggles to righties. So Upton's a great play as well. Trout's a great play, obviously. Even if you wanted to play Kozar, maybe Simmons as well, I think up and down this lineup there are definitely plays. If you want a really cheap option, you could go to Chris Young at just 2.7K, who is in the projected lineup for today. So I love the Angels righties, love stacking them up today, and obviously starting with Trout and Upton, the two best righties in that lineup. I think these guys have so much upside. This Angels team is a team I'm looking to stack up for sure. And then my final play is also going to come from the outfield, getting some more exposure to that game, but from the other side. I really like Shin-Soo Choo here, 3,500 against this Barara guy. Haven't really heard of this pitcher for the Angels, but he doesn't seem like he's that good. The Rangers have a pretty high total for today. They're implied to score 5.4 runs. This Barria guy is a righty, so Shin-Soo Choo will be getting the platoon split going up against the righty. I like a lot of the lefties here from the Rangers, and they're all dirt cheap. Choo, Mazzara, if you want to play a cheap catcher, you got Chirinos, Joey Gallo I like down there at the bottom. People probably won't be playing Gallo now that he's projected about 7th, whereas at the beginning of the year, Gallo was batting 2nd. We saw this last year. Gallo would bat towards the bottom of the order, and it just seemed like he always hit a home run, and nobody would ever play him. So you can play Gallo here. You can play both sides of this game. I think this is a game you definitely want to have exposure to. So I like Shin-Soo Choo here. He's been hitting the ball well lately. The DraftKings points have been there lately, and he's dirt cheap at 3,500. We really don't need a ton of value since we went cheap at pitcher. But maybe if you want to play price today, you could definitely fill in a hitter with Shin-Soo Choo as a value option. But yeah, guys, these are the 5 plays for today. Nick Pivetta, Kevin Gausman, Mike Trout, Justin Upton, and Shin-Soo Choo. Now if we want to look at some of the implied run totals for today, some of the top stacks on this slate. Obviously, my top stacks, 1 and 2, are definitely the Angels and Rangers. I like both sides of this game. Prefer the Angels, especially some of the expensive bats like Trout and Upton. But you can't really go wrong with either side. I think runs are going to be scored in this game. Then looking for other stacks, there isn't a lot I love besides that game. I guess you could play some of these Mets against Harleen Garcia. Obviously, Wilmer Flores against a lefty can always be considered. I know Wilmer homered on Tuesday. He was in the lineup versus a lefty. You definitely can go to Wilmer Flores, especially if you want to play David Price today and you need some value. Wilmer Flores at 3K, great option there. But yeah, the stacks for me are definitely the Angels and the Rangers. Those are the teams I'm looking to go to. Now if we look at BVP, some of the top BVP plays today that are on the main slate, at least with a decent sample. Didi Gregorius, 12 for 27 against David Price, a 444 average. Kevin Pillar is 11 for 25 against Kevin Gausman. Some of these Blue Jays have hit Gausman well. Steve Pearce has hit him well, 5 for 10. Pillar, obviously, Justin Smoke is 2 for 11. but one of those hits was a home run. But that's not really going to keep me off of Kevin Gausman here. I still like him, even though some of these Blue Jays have hit him well. That's really it for the BVP guys. Mike Trout, for what it's worth, is 3 for 11 against Matt Moore with a home run. Now, if we look at pitchers that have done well in their matchups, the only one on the main slate that's done well is Marco Estrada against the Orioles. The Orioles have struggled to hit Marco Estrada. He's done really well against the Orioles in the past. And the pitchers that have done poorly, Kevin Gausman has done poorly against the Blue Jays in the past. But like I said, that's not going to keep me off of him today. I still like Gausman, especially with his $6K price tag. And David Price, pretty interesting here. Really struggled against the Yankees. The Yankees have hit David Price well, 44 for 131, a 336 average. But I don't think that's keeping me off of Price either. If I'm playing cash games today, I probably would still start my lineups with David Price. But yeah, that's really it for BVP and PVB on this slate, guys. And that's really it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, just make sure you click that like button down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe as well. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GO, or just feel free to leave a comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it, guys. Good luck tonight on this slate. Peace.